ice. He's a blue, cute, and deadly little guy. Sing through the fog, old gods he's slayed. Go7, 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 Go7. Go7, 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 Go7. Go7, king of the game. I believe in you, that's what he'll say. Nice and kind, leading cobalt ice. He's a blue, cute, and deadly little guy. Sing through the fog, old gods he's slayed. Go7, 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 Go7. Go7, 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 Go7. Go7, king of the game. I believe in you, that's what he'll say. Nice and kind, leading cobalt ice. He's a blue, cute, and deadly little guy. Sing through the fog, old gods he's slayed. Go7, 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 Go7. Go7, 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 Go7.
Hello, hello, hello. What? The way that apple. Wait, my penguin's not talking. Penguin. Penguin. But now, there we go. There we go. Much better. Because the penguin doesn't behave. Evil penguin is being evil. Nice. We're starting off with not a new month, right? No, it's still October. I think I already gave out some. Or memberships, or whatever. Okay. We're starting with this one. It was just sent in fresh today by a new submitter, MechDonalds. They had a whole spiel with it too. It says, "Hey Go7, King of the Penguins, we are MechDonalds, proud servers of mechs to over 99 billion people. Would you like us to open a Cobalt Ice branch? We can offer delicious sardines, burgers, and krill fries." I mean, that's pretty convincing. Looks like they played Grit here against RegalEagle. So we have Grit versus Max Tier 2 Fog. As far as Tier 2 matchups go, Max is probably the best one for Grit, at least in my experience. Do I have hair under the crown? No. I'm all blue. I do have a Halloween costume that I'll be showing off. Do I have it? Wait, let's see. I don't know if I have it. Oh, we can very briefly show it. A quick spoiler. I have it. Oh, maybe not. I thought I could. Oh, it doesn't have a hotkey. I can go here. Oh, brief Halloween spoiler. Here we go. MechDonalds. Have you comment? Nice. Here we go. Yeah, that's definitely a good name. I assume we're dealing with an alt here with a name like that. Do you mean a maid costume as in my penguin's maid costume? You know what? Either way, Red Halo, yes. If you make the costume, I'll find a stream I could use. Respect to the maid. I've been a maid. Sort of. I've been a home care worker working for Congress. There was maid like work. Lots of cleaning. Okay. So, top right, we've got MechDonalds playing as Grit. Bottom left, we have RegalEagle playing as Max. These both have very nice names. Grit is, of course, infamously quite bad in Fog of War. Even all the way down to tier 4, he'll get his butt kicked, as shown in a previous tournament. But he's placed very highly, unfortunate for him. Recently, he's been brought down to at least down to the new tier 2. Before he was stuck in tier 1 against Javier. So, life is a little bit better for Grit nowadays, but he still suffers greatly against everyone in tier 2. His best opponent is definitely Max, and that's saying something because Max is still really good against Grit, but Max does not destroy Grit with global damage and snow, and he doesn't destroy Grit by just getting 2 turns and wiping out its entire army. There's at least some sort of like zoning and spacing and artillery shenanigans that Grit can do against Max. Grit is tier 4 here, maybe tier 3. I don't know. I don't think Grit's tier 4 here. Or at least not in Global League. You would know more than I would. On this map, Grit has some things going for him. As you can see by the forests on Stalingrad, they're in a very predictable pattern across the map, and having an extra range on an artillery in those woods is quite nice, because like if you're in here, you're guarding captures or like on the comm tower, or you're actually denying this city, which can be a hot button issue. So giving your artillery in the woods just that extra reach is really handy, especially for the early game when the vehicle count is quite low. Towards the mid to late game, things will get rough for Grit because Max will just have a ton of tanks, and getting it like one shot off with the artillery against them will not be quite so impactful as it would be in the early game. If you take out a tank, it's like half his army. We'll see if Grit busts the pipe seam. Grit is always tier 0 in your hearts, just where it matters. Almost middle of the day for you. I started a little late. I mean, this is the first game, so we'll see how Grit goes about this. But I would definitely be utilizing both the forests and the Fog of War for sneaky artillery placements. It's also a nice big map, so you don't need to rush out tanks like you normally would as Grit, because your opponent's going to be harassing you with recons. So even though your tanks suck, they're still good enough to fight off recons. Pressured doing that, but this is a pretty big map. You should be able to defend pretty effectively with artillery in time, but MechDonalds is still going to go with the tank first, which is fine. Really doesn't want to mess with that recon harassment. Looks like RegalEagle is going to go tank recon. Also didn't go for a city. Neither of them went for the city. So that does mean that these corners are going to be easier for them to contest. Yo! Okay, MechDonalds is sticking with the double tank opening. Very scared of the recons. I don't think I would go double tank on the same front like this, especially not the one base, because so few infantry. 4 infantry to capture everything on this front is just asking to run into a little bit of trouble. Because now, so if there's not enough infantry, it doesn't really matter if your tanks are protecting your infantry against the recons, because the recon comes in and hits this infantry, and then the infantry isn't available to go for any of these captures, and there's not like fair infantry around to fill in that gap. So defending against the recon no longer achieved much. The recon stopped you from getting your captures, and even if you won't kill the recon with a Grit tank. it would like come in this case it's fine, it's in the that's just the fear I would have with having this really low infantry count. So we got the artillery to follow. I do think that one of these tanks should have been an artillery, probably the second one. It's pretty grit meta to go with the tank first, just because of the recon harassment, as I said before. Ooh, Max did not go in. Definitely fearing the artillery. If there was an artillery back here on one of these goods, the tank going in would get absolutely demolished. So the fog doing its job here for MechDonalds. Now has 2 mechs marching out, but no transport for them. Transport copters are pretty common, so are APCs. Instead, goes for a battlecopter. I'm not thrilled with Grit's battlecopters. Like, Drake, for instance, has also really bad battlecopters, but he's kind of saved by the fact that the bad battlecopters are paired with fine tanks, and he's got global damage to back them up. Grit's battlecopters are paired with bad tanks, so it's bad and bad. You're going to end up missing out on pretty much all the 2 KOs. He did. He smacked the pipe, the most useless pipe seam, with the mech. It's actually that if Max is paying attention, that would actually tell Max that there is a mech there, because the tanks do less damage than the mechs. If RegalEagle was paying attention to that pipe seam and looking at the damage calculations, then then Max would be like, oh, this base has produced 2 mechs, and there's like moving down this way, which to me as Max would be like, oh, I need to attack over here, because this base has been spending time making mechs and then sending them down, so this front's going to be really weak. But I don't know if RegalEagle's really been following that. So far, it's been a rather peaceful game. They're just kind of going for their captures. Doesn't look like in the most optimal way, because it's like it's weird. Call it like a divot on captured cities instead of a complete wave of captured ones. Oh my gosh. What? So Max goes for a Max rocket and a transport copter for a base. This is a base skipped for a rocket. So a Max rocket it's usually kind of fine because it still outranges artillery, but against Grit, this is like the one time the Max rocket isn't finding some purchase, because it has the same range as the Grit artillery. So, I mean, unless Max has got some sort of mad science stuff going on here that I'm not aware of, this seems like an absolutely atrocious buy, especially with it having to be base skipped for. Grit goes for the medium tank. Okay, just wants to have something that doesn't die. It'd make more sense to me if Grit got a rocket. This is an absolutely wild infantry formation over here. It'd be the most saddest tank ever done, did see. Damn. So you see like this wall of infantry. There's a few things to keep note. One, a wall is only as strong as its ends are, and these ends are really weak. They're just infantry on planes with 3 sides available. And there's also nothing really supporting these. Some tanks are now coming up, but they're not coming up from action of like having the infantry block for them. So they can be kind of jumped on, as I think we're about to see. It is true that no one expects the max run. Bam. Bam. Now goes another infantry. Just take some first strikes there. I think I would have changed this up personally. I kind of like tank attack from the city, infantry finishes it off, and then infantry starts this capture. I kind of like that a lot more. Personally, this first strike is fine though. I'd also be fine with like tank infantry strikes here, and that would also be fine in my opinion. I do like that Grit is backing up with these infantry. Really want them to be protected, especially on the one base side. Okay, here comes the rocket. It's so slow. It's so slow. It's so expensive. Triple tank is going to be definitely what Max should be going for. Wow. I guess Max is not watching the replay because this copter should be known about, and we can definitely clear the way for the anti-air to strike it. As we see. Boom, boom, the artillery getting the fire from the darkness. Is this almost at the stage where the artillery getting little pot shots isn't going to be like back-breaking, but we're not quite there. The tank counts aren't outrageous yet. Each of these hits is quite the dent. We have the medium tank over here. Obviously, it's a little bit nerfed compared to your average medium tank, but it's still going to be big and beefy. Fight tanks all day. You opened max artillery in Global League? Oof. And Max goes for the max force. I like these tanks back here. Oh no, this tank will be able to reach. So we'll get the kill off this copter now. Boom! Bam! Pop. Also hit the anti-air if you want. Rocket is now covering. No, it's not. 2, 3, 4, 5. This is not reading as a max range. the replay viewer doesn't understand that this is a max rocket reaching here, so it's covering some units. For some reason, this tank decided it wanted to go this way. Very unfortunate for RegalEagle. Get the snipe attack. Snipe attack gives some extra damage and +1 range on all these. Indirect. Up, up. Only 2 shots though. So not amazing, but also gives you +10 stats on everything. Because the power got you. Oh, okay, the max rocket has taken a very long journey, but it has made it into the woods. Pop, pop, oh. You're hitting artillery. Down to 3. I assume the recon's going to finish it off. Yep. And are we gonna go hit this anti-air? I assume so, because we just moved into its range. Up, down 4. Okay. RegalEagle is doing very much strong side, weak side, and it's working out so far. We'll see what MechDonalds can get done on the other side. That is Max's weak side right now. Falling back, I agree. It does make this Max rocket really sad, because now everything fell back, now everything's out of its range. I don't know if it's going to get to fire a shot this game. It looks like we're going to do a front shift here. Max. This is a very weird comm tower capture because there's nothing supporting it. There's only 2 infantry on this front, and they just walked forward with no support. We do have a rocket fire from Grit, which has a ton of range. Damn, okay. This infantry is in range of this rocket. The medium tank isn't because it's Max rocket. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, the anti-air is 2. We will get to see the Max rocket fire. Of course, it not only has less range, it also has slightly less damage. They really didn't want Max to have good indirect. There we go. It fired and did 5 damage to the anti-air. There's actually nothing to follow up to hit the anti-air. No tanks over here, so I'm gonna get away. But the rocket did its 5 damage. Poor anti-air. Got discovered. Does live at 2. We have some Grit mechs moving out, as the name promised. MechDonalds. Really sad to see this transport copter come down here as a blocker, because it's only done 1 transportation of mechs. You'd really like to send more in with it. This rocket should be known about if you're doing damage calc. For one, well, I guess even more than damage calc. You know it can't be an artillery, because it would have to be in the vision sight of the anti-air, but it has to be a rocket. Okay. It is a Max rocket against Grit. He base skipped for it. Max blast. Okay. Definitely don't scout with the battlecopter. If you want to do a scout, then I would use the recon. Helicopter, you usually want to attack with. Down here, looking pretty good. The Max Blast is going to be able to do almost a clean sweep. Looks like there's going to be 1 surviving artillery and 2 mechs that can fight. And a tank. It's still looking really nice for Max. This is kind of what you would expect to see happen a lot as you go into like the mid to late game. Is Grit might have a little bit of a death ball, and then Max just has a bunch of tanks got everything. The rocket is retreating. The copter was just kind of sacrificed to the gods. Ooh. Anti-air copter went to clear it out, so keeping the fighter a secret. So we got 1 mech strike, and everything else is falling back. I wouldn't use a transport copter as a blocker here. It does die in 1 shot to the battlecopter anyway, so definitely just go get more mechs if you want to go down that route. Okay. Max pushes the assault. One thing is Max really needs to have, I guess, safer anti-airs. There have been anti-airs on both fronts, but they kind of get picked off a little easily. This bomber is going to be a huge savior for crit, as Max is going to be diving in a little too far. You can usually tell if you're diving in too far based on a few things, like if you're past where your cities are, like in this case, these tanks are completely surrounded by enemy cities, and if your infantry are way behind your vehicles. These infantry are 3 turns behind these tanks. That means you've pushed in too far. No need to split up the army like that. Super snipe. So, this very rarely do you see grits use the super, because the super costs 6 bars instead of 3. It doesn't give you any more damage. It's just another extra range to your indirects. So, like, this artillery doesn't need it. You just use the normal power for the extra damage. Artillery, and on the rocket, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it would only be able to hit these 2 infantry. So the super was used so the rocket could hit tank. It does do a lot of damage. You just don't know if it's really needed, because it's draining your entire charge bar for that one attack. But at least it does hit something. Gonna go with missiles. I don't like the missile buy because there's already a fighter on the field and we have anti-air, so it's kind of going overboard. I would like to see a few more artillery. Okay. The fallback is Max. Seems a little seems pretty reasonable because the infantry line was so far back. Double anti-air, as you see a bomber. I would also want to build a few more recons here as Max. We do have 1 per front, which is nice, but the Max recons are really good against mechs, and they're really good against artillery of the extra movement and firepower they get. Plus, all of the vision will help you find out where Grit's army is and let you go in for those huge power, wipe out the entire army turn. Grit really just like wants to coalesce the army and then fight over something that Max can't afford to give up. And then hopefully the indirects can take out Max's army. But it's going to be really tough. Okay, recon goes down. Oh, there we go. Max is building 2 recons, which is good. Now there's no more recon up here currently. Here comes the missile. Some more artillery are getting built, which is good. Recon dives on in, spotting. A little interesting that it dives in there and then Max doesn't go for this capture because it's just spotting that there's only an infantry, it looks like. Maybe something in these woods that's guarding this capture, and you can definitely kill that off if it moves forward. Oh, a little weird that this moved forward and there. It looks like Max is trying to go for a triple capture, which is fine. If you go for that, I would delay charging forward with the recon. Because if you charge forward with the recon, your opponent's going to react. You're going to be like, oh, my opponent's over here. I need to send my units. And then since the units come over, they are now contesting property. Everything's going pretty well. Okay. The Max rocket found itself in new woods. Down goes that recon. Whoa. Okay, we're diving in, killing a copter. Seems fine to me. We're gonna go in, hit this medium tank, and the bomber in, hit that medium tank. Finish it off with another medium tank. We got triple medium tanks as grit here. I assume that's just so that when Max was going for those, does his tank spam thing, they have a wall they're bouncing up against. I do not like this medium tank moving over here to block for a capture. Who cares if they send something over here to interrupt it? You'll just kill that off and get the capture in the end anyway. So I would prefer if all the medium tanks work together and cover it. Getting a first strike on this tank would have been pretty cool. We do have the Max rocket get to shoot a medium tank here or an anti-air on a shoal, its choice, which is pretty darn high value for a Max rocket. Ooh, both people have a neo tank. Here we go. We go for the triple capture. Unfortunately, the opponent, Grit, has stuff in position to interrupt it because of that. Boom! Hit the medium tank. How much did it do? Well, look at that. That did 6 damage. Respect to the rocket. Down goes the bomber. Another huge swing on this medium tank. Whoa, look at that. Look at that movement range. Boom, gone. Oh, that was it. That was an absolutely wild deep dive. I'm sure RegalEagle is just shocked that this tank did not get trapped on this journey. Boom! There goes a mech. That does live. There goes this anti-air. There goes this medium tank. Do get to keep, or you get the city capture out of this. Pretty strong attack here for Max. It wasn't like complete army wipeout like you'd really like to do, but did get some nice damage in there. There's some indirects in range here though, so we'll have some counterplay. The missile does get the fire at a copter too. Go after these anti-airs. The rocket gonna be firing at. Fighter goes after helicopter. Is that 18 fuel? We're gonna need a APC. The rocket oh, look at that range! Look at that range! If only Grit had vision of the woods. Okay. That was a really weird choice. So, right now, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got like tank can interrupt here, anti-air can interrupt here, tank can interrupt here. This tank cannot interrupt anywhere else. So to have this tank do this interrupt just means one of these captures go. And that was not needed. Especially when this tank comes down. We do have an infantry like nearby over here, so the city will not stay maxed. We do have an APC on the way. This is gonna be a very happy Grit Neo tank. Unless it gets got by the Max rocket. With the anti-air. Max is really feeling those base skips. I think there's been 3 base skips. So Max could have almost 50% more. Okay, Copter's gonna barely survive. Neo Tank comes in, does get the one shot of tank even as a grit Neo Tank. Very nice. The rocket, of course, will not reach. Okay, this city will fall. So Max is going to have a income lead here, although I don't think it's going to last very long, as these cities are going to be... Everything's kind of grouping together in the middle, which is usually on Stalingrad not the place you want to be. Very little stuff actually going on in the middle. Most of the properties are in sides and quarters. The middle has so... Sure, it can kind of like front shift very easily, but you're having to stand on shoals, you're defending a lab. It's just pretty much a meh place to be on Stalingrad. So we start falling back all the way over here, which is incredibly dangerous because it cedes so much ground that was just fought for. Down goes this city. And then these ones don't really have much support going for them right now. We do have some nice grit indirect coverage over this capture, so I would be very surprised if Max is able to stop this cost effectively. A lot of indirects. They are kind of moving. It's kind of middle to middle. They haven't quite met for the fight. We might see it happen here. Neo Tank is so sad because there is a rocket right here. Okay, so Grit has a really tough time having very effective front switches. We'll see how this goes. The rocket only takes 5 off the Neo Tank, so not the end of the world. Oh no! Man, rockets are really made out of paper. The Grit tank knocked it down to 3. This rocket needs something to defend it. The APC is going to try. And then here, it's like maybe use the power for the extra defense, but probably not because Max most likely overpowers it anyway if he gets the super. So I do like what's going on with these sides here, because if you're going to have a big fight in the middle, you do want to be trying to win sides with like small forces. And hopefully your opponent like had to overinvest in the middle. Down goes the rocket. Down goes the fighter. Neo Tank's getting absolutely bopped. See how strong these max powers are when they go off. We have another rocket over here though. And Grit's got a pretty nice setup on this side. Who's that mech? Used to have a mech though. Gonna get a juicy smack in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This artillery does get the fire on this Neo Tank, which is nice. Pop, pop. Down goes this anti-air. Fun fact, if you're fighting against Eagle though in your Grit, your anti-airs do not one-shot his copters, and it's hot. Okay. Neo Tank does get the interrupt. Kill off the recon. I've been really happy with Max's recon count. Really not happy with Max's turn with the buys last turn though. Single infantry. Float 29k. There isn't a harbor on this map, so 28. There's no reason to float 29k, as that could literally buy. Now, fun fact, sounds like a sad anti-air. It's very sad. We do have a Grit Mega on the way. Max and pretty demolished by unit count wise here. Base skips have been very painful. Are we going to see double mega tanks or something? I mean, going mega tanks, stealth. Okay. Going mega tanks, not bad against Grit, of course. They're highly resistant to indirect damage. And Max, of course, does give them a boom. They are very expensive. Ooh, City does get saved. Max very quickly running out of E. Got 6 infantry left and 3 tanks. All 3 tanks are injured. Just goes to stealth. Stealth is, of course, 24k, and then usually gets bought with an APC, so it's called a 29k unit. However, oftentimes if you have stuff like an APC opener, then it's not so bad because you already have it. There's no day limit. This isn't like a tournament or live game. This is a global. So there's no day limit, but there's a capture limit. I don't remember what the specific number is, but it's going to be roughly 2/3 of the property. The unit count is, yeah, not looking great for Max. 13 units to 38, 42 is very difficult. Even if you have a stealth. Okay, building some more vehicles. We are down to 3 infantry for Max, so there's going to be basically no way to contest any of these captures effectively or take anything. It's the best that a like a standing vehicle army can do is prevent captures. You can never really capture anything, of course. And when it prevents the captures, this kind of thing happens. Neo tank goes in, interrupt the capture, and now the Neo tank's in indirect range. And all it costs Grit to kill that Neo tank off is essentially a single hit. That stealth is going to get bopped by a fighter here. Goes for the snipe attack. Infantry, reveal the stealth, hit it with a fighter. Down to 1. The tank. Finish off the Neo. Captures continue. A lot of pressure put on the HQ. And Max is looking super duper dead. And Max resigns. That was a wild game. I'm pretty sure if Max, instead of going rocket transport copter infantry, just did triple tank, I'm pretty sure Grits would have just died. But huge props to Grit for not doing the all-in on the indirect strat, because that does end up getting crushed by recons and some of the early game fights. You do need to have one of those bread and butter units. Yeah. A mega tank. It's not bad for Grit. The mega tank has such high base damage that your lower damage doesn't. Bevan. Sasha versus Slyfox Drake. Crimson Canals. This is a global league. High funds, tier 2. I think we've seen this map a few times. High funds. It can be quite confusing. There's this like APC wall that's splitting the, or like stopping the lander from going through this canal. So there's a few ways that people like get around this. You can bring your own, you can either like destroy this pipe seam to get an infantry over here to go and capture this harbor, which is, nice. You can also capture this harbor and grab a black boat or a lander, come up here and just delete your APCs. Or if you have a lander, just one APC, and then you can load an APC and unload the harbor. There's a few ways to get there. People tend to want to get there because a battleship over here is pretty scary by. It's like right on the front lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is its range on by, and that covers a lot of area that you're often fighting around these choke points for, especially like near this comm tower, and then they'll start hemming in the bases pretty nicely. You don't quite get in their range unless you're grid. 1, 2, 5, 6, yeah. You're just barely out of range unless you're grit. But that's still just a ton of control. And then you're also protected by. This is also a map where you should be very wary of lab cheeses. Because if you're not paying attention, your opponent can be like, you know what, I'm not actually gonna go for these bases. I'm gonna hop into this lander and unload my infantry over here, and in 2 turns it starts capturing this lab. And if you're not paying attention to what their infantry did, if you just kind of go on autopilot, you can end up losing that lab. And then your other lab is not very secure, and they can all in that with an 8. I think Sammy is definitely the best at getting away with those kind of shenanigans, but if you're paying attention, then it shouldn't work. It's just if you're not paying attention, you will just automatically. You love the leading the APCs for offensive battleships. There you go. Okay, so we do have the black boat here for Bevan, which does usually entail leading of APCs. It does also get this airport, so there's a lot of incentive to getting that black boat, and they both get one. Slyfox goes for the airport right away. So does Bevan. Also has this artillery over here. I think it's going to take a hot shot at this infantry, although it will get hit by a tank doing so. Not ideal, even when covered by a tank yourself. And the lander here is going to just block, so this recon can't interrupt the comm tower capture. I don't think the recon... I mean, it would be fine to go for the interrupt here. It's not like a huge deal. Okay, the artillery doesn't take its little pot shot. It just decides to be down here and be shielded with the tank. If this Blackfoot wants to pick up an infantry, which is fine. Slyfox going to accelerate the captures over here. One base, a shared front. It can be very advantageous to get some of these central quickly because they're very close together. So if you finish your captures out first, then your infantry can interrupt there. There are definitely a lot more map gimmicks in High Fun than in other modes. You can see this lab gets flipped by Slyfox. Now this is the only lab left for Bevan, but it's a pretty safe lab at this stage in the game, so I wouldn't expect a lab yet. This recon does go in for this little hot shot on this infantry. It does mean that this recon dies, though. We'll see if it's worth it. As you see, the anti-air hits it, and then the lander just blocks it in. Ooh, okay. Artillery shoots the APC. Trying to get the lander free, maybe? I guess if you shoot both of their APCs down dead, then your lander can capture them. Oh, the positioning, yeah. It's so positioning focused in standard and high. It's absolutely wild how different. Well, Vaughn goes in with the tank first strike, and then the Neo tank comes. The artillery has its choice. Does it want to kill this tank, or does it want to fire on the Neo tank? Probably the correct answer is just kill the tank. It's gonna depend on what Slyfox does. These are, yeah. So, just kill the tank. Looks pretty accurate to me. Because there's very little support for this Neo tank, so you can just kind of wall it. You can't quite pin it in place, so you can kind of wall it. And you don't want to give the charge to Slyfox. We have a bomber on the way. Looks like Bevan agrees with me. Didn't end up pinning it or anything like that, but the Neo tank still doesn't have any good targets. Slyfox also is going to start shooting. For these central captures, so far they're looking fairly even in that. Slyfox just like slightly ahead. Okay. Slyfox gets comm tower. APC's down to 4. Just attacking this pipe seam as well. I don't understand, but I guess attacking the pipe seam just so the unit. I don't understand it because the lander can just unload over here, but it's for the land units to move too. So we do have a market crash. Going to avoid the Drake power here. A lot more income here for Drake, who actually got all of these cities here as well as here. So on front, huge deal. 50k income versus 40k essentially. This still just an infantry, yeah. Things are looking very good for Drake. You get this harbor online for Sasha. Start moving out. I mean, if the cities end up flipping at this point, then it would be okay for Sasha. Very much recoverable. but I would want to get on it on the double. Definitely priority. Take these. The rocket does get to interrupt on this harbor. Bevan was going for both harbors, which isn't awful. It's not quite as good as like having both airports on a standard or something. Yeah, rockets are pretty good in that. Much more affordable. Okay, so we built a. This is kind of weird. We built a battleship down here, and it's slowly making it. We're gonna go for a join cap. Really trying to get this harbor. In comes the bomber, sacrificed for the greater good. Trades out for a rocket. Start going for captures over. Not a ton supporting these infantry right now, though. The Slyfox is going to. Are going to go for a tsunami. It's a pretty annoying move. Of course, it does 1 damage to everything, which could mess with all the captures and drains duel. There's some APCs left for Bevan, which would be very useful with dealing with. Oh, never mind. F goes 1. Pretty spicy to attack in here. Rocket's gonna have to shoot something else. Okay, both APCs go down. So the only thing right now that Bevan has to do dual loss is this black boat, and the black boat doesn't have any way of refueling itself. So after the next power, we're gonna start seeing stuff right now. I haven't done a high funds unit tier list, is true, but a true boss has. There's another YouTube. He's like one of the top high funds. Double Neo tank. So we'll see if Sasha reacts to the fuel drain threat. There's like this battleship can very quickly be in danger. Even the fighter, like fighters start with 99 fuel, but once you start slashing those in half, they will quickly run out of fuel. Especially because they do move. Do another battleship here, Sasha. Hold the line. Interrupt that capture. And of course, Sasha does also have the normal power, so hopefully we'll be able to deny some of these Drake normal powers too. And then you won't have to worry so much about the fuel loss. Lots of attacking into the and the battleship's range. There's like no way that's. Oh, the Drake did clear this. It does have an infantry capping it, which is pretty scary. The anti-air is going to go in for the interrupt. Bam. And the battleship did not fire on the Neo tank. Bevan needs to remember to use the normal power. Probably should have used it earlier before going for buys here. Good. Drains all of the charge from Slyfox. That would have been probably game ending if that had gone through. Still really weird to me that this battleship, instead of shooting the Neo tank, got off the harbor and now just gets to be attacked. Okay. Fighting over here is very scrappy. 2 Neo tanks coming in for Slyfox. It's looking pretty good. Slyfox almost able to get the power from nothing on that turn, such as the risk in high funds when you got those huge value armies slamming into each other. I assume we have to build another battleship. Market crash. Go. Yes, it's okay. If you keep building battleships, then it's pretty hard to fight into that for sure. Down goes that one. There's a battle copter. At 19 fuel right now. Looks like Slyfox was beaten back from this harbor. There isn't any good infantry for Bevan to capture either, but it's still really nice. You have a huge income lead here for Slyfox, or not income lead, but value lead, having a high income for so long. But Bevan is the one getting some traction here. Rains all of the charge again. Slyfox goes for a submarine. Drake submarines are pretty nasty because they'll survive cruiser hits. A little bit of attacking into battleship range, but I believe right here, Slyfox is just betting that this battleship is not going to fire. It just wants to get off the harbor, so battleship. You start getting these cities captured. Vaughn has a shaky income lead here for the first time in a long time. Fighters being annoying. Standing in the choke point, stopping the Neo tank from going forward. Okay, down goes this battleship. So this one did not move off the port. It does just fire, killing a battleship. Gotta enjoy that. Have a bomber out. Ooh, Bevan did not use the normal power. This is at 53 fuel. Oh, it's a new one. It's going to be able to save the other. If you have 2 black boats, then they save each. Sasha could block the tile that the sub has to attack from, but like, what are you blocking it with? You know, you mean with the cruiser? Because units that's blocking could definitely. Nami! It's down to 7 fuel. It's down to 13 fuel. Down to 27, but it's going to be able to reach and they'll be partying to get there. Fine. Panzer has its own black boat. Black boat doesn't have it. I don't think this one's going to result in stuff crashing. At least not yet. You have some infantry running out of fuel. If infantry run out of fuel, by the way, they just can't move. They won't die. Land vehicles don't die when they run out of fuel. Become immobile. I'm not quite sure why boats die when they run out of fuel. But, at least the planes. Okay, battleships. Rockets, they fire away here, but we got double bomber. Still untouched. This battlecopter is being very annoying for this sub, which for some reason this sub hasn't actually dove, so if the battlecopter wants to, it could attack it. This is it. Really? decided to go after this Neo tank instead out of this battleship or this fighter. Yeah, the fighter's like guarding. Okay. There we go. Now we have dove with the submarine. It's in range of the harbor. You get a Neo tank for a strike here. Bomber breaks through too. Looks like we're gonna get another Drake normal power. Oh, I wasn't even paying attention. Sasha used the super. Okay, let's go back. How much money does Sasha make off of this? Sasha super is classically atrocious. So we start with 33k. Oh. Start spending stuff. So 51k, almost 20k, less than half of a turn of income. That's so bad. That's definitely much worse than just draining your opponent of their fun or their charge every turn. Did she buy during the attack? Was that not the high point? Got the 51. Nothing's been bought. Now stuff gets bought. Oh, do we make some more cash? Must. We got some indirect stuff. No, that's the priority. Yeah. No, that was the amount. I think Sasha super definitely needs. It's atrocious. Okay. The Drake slamming on in here, getting really close to a normal power. There's still a bomber to attack. Whoa. Hits this down. 6. The mech can't swing on it. This tank, how much does he need? Do they need? They only need like 2,000, so this tank should definitely just attack this. I don't know why I went after that infantry. Well, this is very good news for Sasha. Drake just barely misses out on the normal power. So Sasha gets her own normal power. She can wipe all the charge. And things will start looking not great, but you know, something. Quite the interesting composition left in the center here. Nothing to deal with these bombers still, and Sasha unable to make it to that normal power. Very painful. Here comes a Drake super. It's gonna do 60,000 damage. So Sasha uses her super. She makes 20k. Drake uses his super. She loses 60k. That's why we don't use Sasha's super. And also it's going to result in everything kind of dying because they're injured. They're running low on fuel. Copters. Be hampered by the rain. I think that's going to be the nail in the coffin for Sasha here. Oof, really not much done on this turn. The bomber can go in, but it's going to interrupt this capture into range of fighters and anti-airs. Looking real bad. I don't know why this fighter went here. Okay, Down goes the fighter. Down goes the bomber. Cleaning up the units. We have a stealth, a dove sub sitting on the harbor. Impossible to be cleared off because the cruiser from here can't make. Cruiser can't even make it out of this port. Cruisers should really be able to move on shoals. Off cruisers. Okay. No extra power being used here, but it's still just strong enough. Triple anti-air, fully ground fighting force, or like melee fighting force. Fluffy would be proud. We do have the market crash, which will at least drain this charge. Oh my gosh, are we far behind? For Sasha here. Tower is under threat. We don't quite have anything going for this harbor, but we try to hit this central city. Slyfox here, who built that carrier way over here. It's gonna have a long walk. Okay. Triple anti-air comes in, does some damage. Outside of this Neotank's range, that's okay. It's covered by the double fighter, which it kind of has to be. And we do have 2 bombers and this battleship here, so these triple anti-airs can be taken out fairly effectively, especially if Slyfox manages to power. I like that. Boom. Pow. And then we hit the last one there. Now all the anti-airs are injured. The bombers, they're not quite unopposed though, because they're still this fight. Okay, we have a join cap on the comm tower, but it is in range of the artillery, so that seems fine. Bevan being 1/4 of the army value though is not fine. Sasha Super, yeah, Sasha Super's a win more button if you're like already routing your opponent. Otherwise, it's just pretty darn bad. No offense to Sasha. I think she's a great character. Very fun to play. We got Strider versus doctorSalt. Very tall map. Yeah, the power the power getting through uncontested. Real rough. The super. It's just regular tournament map. Oh, okay, that makes sense. This is a tournament map. Tournament map or game. Standard Strider versus doctorSalt. Max versus Kindle. Always interesting matchup. Usually you only see this on really small maps. I think I've only seen it in Fog, but this doesn't look awful for Kindle because there's a lot of choke points and artillery could definitely be used, which Max is going to miss out on. Some incredibly strong airports, so possible that Max can those a little bit better than Kindle can, although I mean, fighting on this, please. Even more damage. That's exactly right. Yeah. You get you do 150,000 damage to your opponent in attacks. That game's already over. The super did. That's exactly right. Okay. Going for our tank first over here. Doesn't interrupt this capture though. Although nothing was made. Okay, there we go. Now there's a tank. Now there's a tank to help guard the capture in the future. Strider can send this tank up to the north, perhaps. Although I think there'll be just enough money for doctorSalt to build a tank here. Oh. Gonna move forward. A little tank stare off. Everyone's favorite, and then we get an artillery built. One thing that Max is unable to do. We have a little bit of difference too. This capture happened for doctorSalt already. Strider's just starting this one now, and it is interruptible by the infantry. And it's not like it's covered by anything. I assume it's going to gain. Although, it's a little bit dangerous to interrupt because I could then strike. I guess that's another difference. Oh, didn't even have to interrupt the combat first. Interrupts over here. Okay. Ooh, Strider does not finish this capture. Interesting. I mean, the artillery would fire and the infantry would clear it, but you still have the capture. And it's within like base. It's within base and airport range, so I could see that working out. Especially because this base is being hemmed in right now. So very surprised that Strider backed off on that one. doctorSalt goes for the tank strike here. It's barely positive. But barely positive is still positive. We haven't actually seen a copter built yet, but both players have anti-air already. This airport is now being blocked. Okay. He comes in, takes a swing. doctorSalt has definitely been neglecting this central base. Okay, we have our first copter. It is built in anti-air range, but they're in the way to make sure that the anti-air can't interrupt. Infantry brawl happening on the top. Fighting over these properties. That's another place you can build a copter to help deal with that. Oh my gosh, doctorSalt goes rocket mech double base skip on base light. That is so bad. Or not base light, on mixed base. Well, one of the big weaknesses in mixed base is that you didn't have stuff. So if you build a rocket, a very slow, expensive unit, and then don't buy in other places, expect your opponent to not interact with your rocket at all, and then just put you everywhere else. Let's see how it goes. Strider didn't end up building any more vehicles over here, though. Another copter. I mean, they're going to be really annoying. Now this rocket also has to be really scared of this copter, because I might have to build another anti-air. Because the rocket costs 15k, the copter costs 9k. It would love to just dive in and trade itself out for a rocket. The rocket would like live. Okay, Theirs can't really do much about this mountain range, so we are going to get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Probably the city. The tank could die. Give a little bit of march of the mechs over here. doctorSalt, I think in this matchup, doctorSalt should really be pushing for more early engagements, because an urban blight during the capture phase can be completely backbreaking. This could be a base lock attempt. You're thinking like the rocket makes it to here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got the base lock. That is true. I think it's a lot easier to just like get an artillery to do the base lock. A little bit closer, but we'll see how it goes. So far, I'm liking this a little bit more from Strider with the like. Now we're putting pressure elsewhere. The rocket can kind of do what it wants. I don't like all of the mechs just kind of dying though. Rest in peace, mechs. We do get the urban blight here for doctorSalt, and it's still in the slightly in the capture phase here, so really impactful. Like, look at all the caps this interrupts, especially for doctorSalt, in that they're interrupting doctorSalt's cap. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, with 4 of them being doctorSalt's caps. That's essentially stopping an 11k swing. Although some of them would be interrupted anyway. Okay. You have a max force from Strider. Come in here and bully all of these poor innocent mechs. There's still one surviving, so it's going to get a smack on a tank. Are we going to try and go for... As you can see, the rocket didn't end up doing anything. The artillery got in range of the lock. We're just going to be limited. Is the stream getting laggy for people? Okay. Yeah, it's not saying there's any lag issues. Stream thingy hanging. Okay. The rocket's now also locking. However, the rocket is kind of just doing a double lock, as the artillery already had a lock going. Boom, boom, boom. Medium tank help hold this base for as long as it can. Strider didn't build anything here, so it's completely open base. However, is taking this base at the same time, so it's just kind of a base swap as from what we see right here. And a huge income swing for Strider. Also takes this lab. There's only one more left, I think. Yeah, in the center. Oh my gosh, this is the last lab for doctorSalt. Is that true? I will call that. Priority numero uno here for doctorSalt. We also never went and got this comm tower. Who captured this lab? Otherwise, the game is just going to end in a few turns. Or take this one back too. I think the full health infantry can friend it though. Faster than the 9 health can? Maybe not. Ooh, if something interrupts it, then yes. Down goes that copter. Rest in peace. We are going to go for the urban blight. Will damage this infantry so we can no longer capture this lab into pretty nice. This rocket still isn't getting much done though. Are going for this. Yeah. Quite a few of Strider's units were chilling on this one. Very nice urban fight, even though it did have to take a sacrifice to do it. Does decide to send in the tank for this interrupt. does actually work pretty well because nothing can really hit you. So there will be a join cap over here. Do we? Okay, okay. I wasn't sure if Strider wanted to send this guy to go for this lab, as that would still threaten a 3-turn capture, which would be GG, assuming this gets stopped. The Strider's taking it nice and slow. Medium tank gets deleted for an anti-air. I'm surprised. I'm pretty sure Strider could have just taken this lab. Now he's going to go for it. A turn later. Huge whiff in my opinion. Rocket still not really getting much done. It is guarding this stuff, but that light already guarded by the base. The join cap means that it's not quite fast enough to catch up with this capture. doctorSalt just resigns. This wasn't going to get captured next turn, but I don't think doctorSalt had a way of getting anything in range to deny it. So that is indeed just GG. Gotta be careful about those labs. I think if doctorSalt hadn't built this rocket, this might have gone in their favor. But the rocket was just a little nothing. See if we can get one more game in. Christian versus Overknight on Moonshot. But oh, there's 2-8. There we go. Moonshot. This is, what's this map? iFunds. This is a tournament. We go. Ooh, let's make Christian it. We have an adder mirror. Adder mirror. We'll see how this goes. I think we saw some early transport copter removal from the last time we saw this map, which is pretty cheeky. Oh, we're gonna see it again with Overknight. But of course, Christian did not follow suit. So I assume we're gonna see an early anti over here and an early copter down here. Kind of interesting if instead of getting a battle copter, if Christian went for an early transport copter, decides to go for early battle copter and then early. I kind of like early transport copter, honestly, because forcing the APC, the anti-airs out of here isn't that big. You could also see potential for yeah, like if this was a transport copter, it would go here, and instead of this being an APC and the infantry would go in and get boosted to here. 1, 2, 3. It could then go for this capture. Not terrible. It would be kind of be fighting, unfortunately, style like infantry though. But they're stepping forward to just capture. I mean, this is also fine because you can boost here. Then I'll go for that capture. This guy walks past, go for this capture, and then you pop in and drop off for one of these captures. That's also fine. The bases are super jokey. Going for an early bomber could be cute, though. That's one-shot pipe teams. Got a outback. Transport copter boosting around here. Battlecopter moving down towards this anti-air. I guess it's kind of threatening both sides. The anti-air is trying to bend, maybe trying to get a second anti-air built. Definitely a trick of the trade to have helicopters force anti-airs and then just fly away, and then the tanks come in and kill off the one anti-air harassment over here. This is high fun, so anti-airs are kind of like recons. You know, you make double the money. Anti-airs cost twice as much of a recon. They're really good at harassing infantry. And 8 now out of Overknight. This capture for Christian. And nice income lead. Sends the copter in for this interrupt. It's going to be denying a single city. The copter's probably going to die for it, but I think this infantry will then be able to capture. So it might pay off in the long run. Or it might be a case of you don't need to go for that attack because you'll probably be able to just take that capture. Okay? It's pretty tough for this base. Though a Neotank does do a lot with that. This harbor is soon to be captured. Or Overnight. Christian's already got this one. This comm tower is also going to Christian. Well, Overnight's pretty far away from this one, so putting a few power spikes here for Christian, which is very nice. This is also being tested presently with a rocket too. Exceptions haven't been broken yet. Once they do get broken, the double base kind of gets unleashed top, which is nice. Okay. It's a very weird setup that Overnight's going for. I guess the copters are here to dissuade the Neotank. The anti-air can just attack this, or the tank can attack go after. Really, the tank and the Neotank can go after vehicles. So I don't really like what Overnight's got going on top. I guess it means that this is flipped, which is the same as like this city. Which is why I was like, I think you don't need to sacrifice the top to it's very much takeable. We're gonna side slip here. Boosting down here, lots of pressure being put on this city now. Interrupt that one, go for the capture, build a battleship to cover everything against double Neotank. That's pretty nasty. Neotank is going to clear this infantry. I think there's no way that's the right move. We do it. I guess it really wants to keep this anti-air safe. Maybe it is the right move. I was thinking like you can send the anti-air down here and clear this, and then your Neotank can go on the city and kill the air, but maybe that's making this anti-air too exposed. But you could always just build another anti-air. I think it would be. Or maybe not. Maybe this tank is too scary. Like, I know it's fine. Even if the tank hits you, I think it's okay. But we'll see how this goes. Kind of very precious protection of this anti-air here. Overnight has the response power. Does poke this battleship rather rudely. Well, let's go with these tanks. Gotta be really careful about sending these Neotanks super forward like this, because they can get surrounded by really weak units, and the artillery or other Neotank killers can come by and take out your Neo. Very cost effective. So, always dangerous to kind of dive past enemies, especially if you're against the edge of the map. We have a mega Overnight. Okay, well, that's one way to do it. As I was saying, you gotta be really careful, but Neotank can't reach this turn unless the power gets, or next turn, unless the power gets used, so a power truck. Neo. Currently, though, this Neotank can be saved. Pretty good. Because this anti-air can come around and finish off. Oh, never mind. I just barely got in the way. Mission continues to maintain control over those captures and currently has a nice 10k lead. Now an 8k lead, but still really good. And this Neotank isn't quite surrounded. We do have a lot of stuff coming in at this base. Having the Neotank still is very important. It's something that can one-shot vehicles. I assume we're gonna have to start building a mega. Bam. Bam. Anti-air's pretty much forced to hit the infantry. Or so I think. Maybe it's coming. We can't quite reach the top. Boom! Hit the Neo. Do some really annoying infantry blocks on that mega. I hit the infantry. You have to build a mega. An amazing mega, but at least they'll be able to. Or I guess the Neotank's also pretty good, especially if you get that hit on that artillery, like we see. Okay, we start breaking this pipe seam. A lot of assistance towards this incoming soon. Mission still has a really nice incoming. Got the good trap over there. We have a rocket built. A little iffy. Also doesn't quite work for Overknight. Neotank can like free the units. But the artillery does have a lock on the base presently. Or should we just build a mega tank? Matter? Rocket does pop a little bit here. Here's our mega. Mega is like a tiny bit in danger of getting surrounded by air units, but it's still okay for now. It's the sheer number of infantry blocking the way, making sure these are flipping. Okay, fighter starts moving up here. Very good. If you've got the income lead, then starting the fighter arm race is we have a super from Overknight, which I assume is going to be back at tank. Looks good, and we do get the flyer surround on the mega. Oh, and an AP. So that does mean that the mega is not moving off of that base this turn, so you can't just like move off, kill something, and build another mega. You just gotta chill there and kill something. It's a lot worse. Well, it's kind of what this rocket did too, so I think both of these bases are going to be falling very shortly here. We have a missile built, the battleship fires upon it. Clear out the infantry. Copter chills on the base. It probably should not have attacked the mega tank on a city. As you see, the mega tank does hit back for 3. No joke. 3 now has this trap. Bomber does go down to the fighter, which is nice. It's gonna be a little fighter stare off here. Does decide to just build a bomber. I think another fighter was the right play. Just because air dominance, it's just that good. assume infantry, yeah, they're just gonna surround this. This poor Mega will hold the base for quite a while. But at present, it's just going to be killing a unit a turn for a few turns here. This infantry move that would have been disastrous as the fighter could get hit the battlecopter and the Mega. This rocket's just guarding stuff. I don't think we've been that impressed with, well, maybe the Grit rockets were good, and the Max rocket did get some. We've seen a lot of rockets and a lot of dawdling ones. Wow, I would not do this. Neo tank on the city next to the Mega. No, thank you. Or on the base next to the Mega. I think Overknight can just pop a power and one-shot that Neo and then build another Mega. Okay. Overknight did not pop the power. I think it would have been possible with a pop power. It does live at 1. And 2 Mega tanks, you don't have that much of an air force over here right now, would be pretty nasty. Although I guess there's some bombers on the way. So it would just be a matter of time anyway. Still incredibly painful. Infantry starts capturing the base. Sidewinder. Cool. Okay. Bomber, artillery, bomber. The Mega tank survives at 3. That's why they're called Mega. And that was pretty much it. Starting to turn into a top versus bottom game. As soon as this base flipping, there's no hope for it right now. So looks like it looks like Christian really wants to use artillery against Mega tanks here. I think they kind of both have the same idea. He takes a lot of shots. Down goes that Mega tank, so the base is falling. This turn, Mega just kills an infantry down here. This is turning into a top versus bottom. Okay, both bases are falling at the exact same time. Rest in peace, Black Boat. Fighter does go into trade out for a bomber, which is fine. We do have another fighter over here and another one, so Overknight more on the page of in the air dominance as best as possible, which I think is the correct way to go about it. I think these missiles are here to test battlecopters, although missiles against is also going for a missile. It also helps defend the shoals, but against Adder, I think the missiles are much worse. Just because the extra movement of the flying units can kind of outrange them. The missiles were bait for battleships to shoot at. Maybe. Okay. How are they gonna proceed? The huge difference in that type teams are not broken, ones are. Christian's definitely in more of an offensive position. I say that as the units come back, hiding in the shoals. We do have this battleship here, so we can fire on these bases. Although we have a battleship coming on over here. We have a carrier built, so we're going to try and lock down this airport. Carriers are, of course, not as good against COs like Adder that can give the boost of movement to the bombers, because bombers are usually one movement out of being able to hit carriers, as you can see. Being able to give those bombers that +1 movement makes the carriers much worse. Up goes the copter. We do dive in here, stand on the base, hit the anti-air. The other one, there's a bomber kind of primed to go after this Neo tank, so we'll see how this goes. Ooh. Okay, so the bomber comes in, hits this battleship, gonna get beat up by, fighters and a missile. We also have a carrier coming in. Block this airport at the same time as on the left side. Very nice blocking with this 3 health copter. Make sure that the bombers don't just come in and take out your carrier at range. One attack over here, so we do have a lot more pressure currently on like the base here against Overknight than against Christian, who first so far is doing pretty darn well on this attack. We have some missiles help on the other side of the map. Another mega tank. Unfortunately, megas are like the best answer for megas, so just this mega being built on this choke point base, huge issue for the current composition of Christian. Looks like we might be trying to just out-bomber it. We'll see. The carrier over here now does have sights on this airport, so no more air units coming out of there. For Christian, because the carrier will just one-shot all of them. Fighter dives in. Taken out. Doing a little hot shot. What's the plan? Some opposing mega tank spam. I guess if Christian could get a full surround on these. I wonder. In comes a bomber. Mega tank gets knocked down to 1. Oh my gosh! Do we have a triple sacrifice? That was the infantry sacrifice. 1, 2, 3. All the ammo is gone, but there's nothing else to swing. That was a little weird. Oh, the fighter comes in, breaks through. Bomber can come in and hit the carrier. And that's pretty darn good for Overknight. Sidewinder. We have some nice attacks to fire off here. Get the move with it. Rocket. Only one artillery is fired. Very awkward. Built another carrier and then pinned in all the units. Okay. I respect it. It's a $60,000 investment in order to lock it. Megas are surviving so far, which fighters be charging it, and Overknight just resigns. Wow. The Overknight is down a little bit of money. They're like missing out on owning the harbor, and then the city's been flipped. But killing off the carrier is still pretty. I guess there was enough over here. You have like the lock on the airport. I guess it's in a tournament game, so in 8 more turns, if Christian still has the property lead, then it's just going to be, I think that might be why they resigned. Because not much was happening over here for sure. but like the harbor is being sat on by Megatank, so I don't think that's happening. And this has been taken as well. You have to take losing this. Yeah, I think that's fair. That's fair. GG. Yeah, the no property counter-ups happening does mean that that's just going to be game over. And that'll be our last game for the night. I hope everyone enjoyed. Here is your apple for the week. Thanks for watching, everybody. Night.
It's Go7, king of the penguins. Of all the penguins, he is king. It's Go7, king of the penguins. Being king of the penguins, that's his thing.